Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a really fascinating source, a kind of synthesis of Stoic thought, but viewed through a much harder lens.
That's right. We're calling it the Strategical Stoic Codex. And the key difference here is framing. This isn't about finding passive comfort. It's about Stoicism as a rigorous, almost military strategy for life, for self-mastery.
Self-conquest, even. So our mission today is to really unpack the core of this codex. It's 7 pillars, or maybe gates is a better word. We're going step by step.
Yeah, starting from the very foundation, the cosmic order, and drilling all the way down to, that unshakable inner core you need to navigate, well, everything life throws at you.
Exactly. And this is for you if you need that deep understanding, that actionable knowledge, but you need it distilled. It's kind of a shortcut to resilience, right?
It absolutely is. The whole premise is that this Stoic path, seen this way, is the ultimate mindset for a strategist. Someone focused on winning the inner war first.
And this isn't New Age thinking. We're talking about a lineage here. Zeno, Cleanthes, Chrysippus.
Right, all the way through Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. These weren't just philosophers musing abstractly. They were building practical systems for survival, for thriving when everything external is uncertain or even collapsing.
Like when the market tanks or your health fails or
Yeah.
whatever the chaos is, that inner structure has to hold.
Precisely. Your inner world remains firm. That's the goal.
Okay, that sets a really strong tone. Let's jump into that first gate then. Pillar 1, invoking the Logos, right? The Logos. This word comes up a lot, and honestly, it can sound a bit mystical, maybe even religious to some. How does the strategist understand the Logos in practical, tactical terms?
That's a great question because the Codex is very clear. Strip away the mystical connotations. Think of the Logos as the fundamental operating system of reality. It's the sovereign intelligence, the underlying rational order, the logic hidden within apparent chaos.
So not a personified God in the sky.
Definitely not. It's the immanent structure. The source material calls it the divine fire that breathes through all things, which is poetic, but practically. It's the ratio in your own heartbeat, the physics governing the planets, the principles of cause and effect. It's the universal law. The cosmos as a rational city, if you will.
Okay, defining it as law changes everything. It leads straight into this idea the Codex stresses, the command versus the consolation. If it's law, it doesn't offer comfort, does it?
Absolutely not. And that's a hard pill for many to swallow today. We often seek reassurance, a promise it'll all be okay. The Logos, as understood by the strategist, offers zero consolation. It doesn't promise safety. It commands alignment. It demands discipline.
Harsh.
It is, but also clarifying. The universe isn't depicted as kind, it's just. It operates on principles. It rewards alignment with those principles, not wishful thinking. The Codex draws a really stark line here.
Between the fool and the sage.
Yeah. The fool suffers because they believe the world owes them something, that it should bend to their desires. They fight reality. The sage might still experience hardship, but the suffering often comes only when they momentarily forget and try to resist the fundamental design, the Logos.
But aligning with the world's design, doesn't that sound like giving up? Like fatalism. Why is embracing this command the first principle of strategy? Isn't strategy about changing things?
But what can you change? This is where Cleanthes, Zeno's successor, provides the absolute linchpin. It turns fate into fuel. His hymn to Zeus has that famous line,
Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O destiny.
I follow willingly, but if I will not, I shall follow nonetheless. Now that willingly, that's not surrender. It's the ultimate strategic move.
Okay, let's make that concrete. Say you lose a major project at work, something you poured everything into. How does following willingly give you dominion over that failure? It feels like just rolling over.
It's about where you place your will. The project failure, that's happened. It's external. It's now part of the Logos unfolding. Fighting it internally, the bitterness, the if-onlys, the blaming, that's where the suffering lies. And it's wasted energy.
So consenting.
Consenting willingly means you exercise the only freedom you actually have in that moment. Your internal response, your attitude. You say, okay, this is the reality dictated by the Logos now. I accept this command.
And the effect.
Instantly, you stop battling what is. All that mental energy previously spent on resistance is now available for the next move. What do I do now? How do I adapt? You're no longer being dragged by the current. You're aligning with it to steer where you can steer. That's dominion over your own state, even amidst external loss.
Okay, I see. So that internal shift, that act of willing consent, that's the purification process the Codex talks about, clearing the decks.
Precisely. The first strategic action isn't external, it's internal. It's burning away illusion. And the core illusion is that we control externals or that our happiness depends on them. It's silencing the internal noise, the desires, the fears, the self-pity, so you can actually perceive the reality, the rational structure of the situation.
Accept it.
Accept it, and then align your actions with it. You can't see the strategic landscape clearly if your vision is clouded by emotional smoke. Purification first.
Okay, so Pillar I lays the groundwork. Align with the fundamental reality. Logos. Pillar 2 seems like the immediate practical consequence. Build your defenses. The inner citadel. This is maybe the most famous Stoic metaphor.
It is, and for good reason. The Codex really hammers this home. There is no fortress safer than the soul that commands itself. Zeno saw this very practically, like architecture. Why build it? Because everything else is fundamentally fragile.
Everything external.
Empires crumble, health fades, money disappears. We see it constantly. But the mind, a mind trained in Stoic principles, one that masters its reactions, that can remain standing even when everything else around it is in ruins. Virtue, for Zeno, wasn't just moral, it was structural integrity, reason shaping the chaos within.
And crucially, the Codex says that the real war isn't out there, it's inside. You have to pacify the inner conflict before engaging the world. The enemy is internal.
Oh, absolutely. The competitor, the difficult boss, the political climate, those are external challenges. The real enemies, the ones that can actually breach your peace, they wear your own face. Fear, unchecked desire, rage, that gnawing need for praise or validation from others.
The Codex calls them traitors within the walls.
A brilliant term. Every single unexamined thought, every surge of uncontrolled passion, that's a potential breach. If your sense of self-worth depends on external applause, for example, anyone, even a fool, holds the key to your fortress gate. They can destabilize you with a word. So the strategist spends most of their time securing the inner perimeter.
So how do you actually build these walls? We need the blueprint. This is where Chrysippus comes in, right? With his filtering system.
Exactly. Chrysippus gave us the tactical triage process. Think of it as security checkpoints for every single impression that hits your mind before you grant it entry and label it as true or important or bad. He called it the 3 walls of judgment.
Okay, let's run a scenario. A strategist, maybe running a business, sees a major competitor launch this brilliant, aggressive new campaign. It looks like an immediate threat. Panic starts to rise. How do the 3 walls work?
Right, so the raw impression hits. Threat. We're doomed. Panicked. The untrained mind gets swept away. The strategist pauses, applies the filters. Wall 1. Is this actually within my control?
Your competitor's actions? No, obviously not.
Correct. So, no. Immediately, the panic associated with trying to control the uncontrollable starts to lose its power. Wall 2. Is this in accord with nature? Is competition, external challenge, change, is that part of the natural order of things, especially in business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's expected.
Yes. So accept the reality without outrage or feeling personally victimized. It's just the terrain. Wall 3. Is my response governed by reason or bad appetite? The initial reaction, panic, maybe anger, the urge to lash out impulsively, that's appetite. Emotion running wild.
And the rational response?
Well, the rational response is, okay, analyze their strategy, understand its strengths, weaknesses, calmly devise our countermove, plan, execute. That response, governed by reason, is the only one allowed through the 3rd gate.
It's a system for rapidly defusing the emotional bomb and getting back to effective thinking. Brilliant. And even if the external chaos continues, the fortress provides refuge. Marcus Aurelius talked about this retreat.
He did. He saw people constantly seeking external escapes, country villas, beaches, But he realized those are fleeting illusions. The real power, he said, is that you have it in your power to retreat into yourself anytime, anywhere, instantly.
But it's not hiding.
No, that's key. It's not escape. It's rearmament. You're not running from the battle. You're stepping back to the command center. You observe the field from a protected vantage point, consult your principles, reason, justice, recalibrate your strategy, and issue new orders to yourself.
It's like an invisible command bunker.
Yeah.
And the point is, even if the outer citadel, your body, your circumstances takes damage, this inner fortress, aligned with reason, stays untouched.
Untouchable, unseen, but invincible. That's the ultimate promise of Pillar II. If your core identity resides entirely within your own disciplined will, your faculty of choice, then you can be imprisoned, you can lose everything externally, you can be physically harmed, but you cannot be conquered or enslaved. You've already sworn allegiance to the only authority that matters, reason itself.
Okay, so we've aligned with the logos, Pillar 1st, built the fortress, Pillar 2nd. Now the strategist needs to actively manage incoming information, Pillar the third, the discipline of perception. The Codex calls it inner reconnaissance. Sounds critical.
It's arguably the most critical battlefield because, as the sources state very clearly, all error begins not in the event, but in the judgment of the event. Think about that. The external world, the raw event, doesn't actually wound your core self.
Wait.
Only your opinion about it does.
Like stubbing your toe hurts physically, but the suffering comes from the judgment. This is terrible. This is unfair. Why me?
Exactly. The physical sensation is just data. The opinion layered on top, that's what disturbs your peace, your inner fortress. This goes back to that gap Chrysippus identified.
Between the raw impression hitting you and your response, your assent to it.
Yes. That tiny gap contains all human freedom. We receive an impression, an appearance. In itself, it's neutral, just data. Our freedom lies in whether we assent to it, whether we agree with the interpretation that automatically pops up, often driven by fear or desire. We're the ones painting reality with good, bad, catastrophe, opportunity.
And the strategist's goal is to purify that process, to strip away the paint.
Precisely. Strip away the masks that our own desires and fears place onto reality. See the thing itself, cold, radiant, and exact, as one text puts it. Just the facts, without the emotional commentary.
Epictetus, who definitely faced external threats, really framed this as a kind of military decoding, didn't he?
He did. He had been a slave. He knew constraint. His focus was on rapid, accurate assessment. His famous line, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." It's so fundamental. The untrained person reacts instantly, emotionally, treating their first judgment as the reality.
While the disciplined mind.
The disciplined mind intercepts the judgment, holds the impression at arm's length, subjects it to immediate analysis, asks those two vital questions. First, what is this thing in its essence? Strip away all the loaded language, all the adjectives, just the bare facts. Second, and crucially, can it touch my will? Can this external thing actually prevent me from choosing my response, from acting virtuously?
And if the answer is no, which it almost always is for external events,
then the impression, the event, has no power over your core self. It might require practical action, sure, but it has no power to disturb you unless you grant it that power through your judgment. You let the emotionally charged interpretation pass by, like a cloud.
this practice of seeing events naked, Marcus Aurelius took this very literally sometimes.
He did. He famously practiced looking at a fancy roasted dish and seeing it for what it was, the carcass of a bird. Looking at fine purple robes and seeing sheep's wool dyed with shellfish gore.
Sounds a bit grim.
It wasn't about pessimism, it was mental training. It was stripping away the layer of desirability, the cultural overlay, the value judgment, to see the raw material underneath. This breaks the power of attachment to externals.
Okay, I think the most immediate practical takeaway for anyone listening has to be about language. The words we use internally shape our judgments. The Codex says this is the first battlefield.
It absolutely is. If your internal language is sloppy or overly emotional, your perception will be corrupted. The strategist must train their inner vocabulary ruthlessly.
Give us an example.
Okay, someone criticizes your work. The untrained reaction, he insulted me, he attacked me. That's interpretation packed with emotion. The strategist's internal translation. Words, arranged in a specific pattern, reached my ear. Or perhaps this person expressed a negative judgment about the work. See the difference? It's observation, not accusation.
Or if you face a financial setback.
Instead of, I've lost everything, I'm ruined, which is catastrophizing, the strategist thinks. External assets have shifted. Changes occurred in my financial circumstances. It sounds cold, maybe, but it's accurate. It keeps the mind clear for problem solving, not wallowing.
By controlling the words, you control the initial emotional fire. You decouple the neutral fact from the potentially harmful opinion attached to it.
Exactly. When you can see reality clearly without immediately slapping a value judgment on it, you're free from that reflexive emotional reaction. When you can experience difficulty without collapsing internally, you are strong. The strategist doesn't ignore suffering, but they learn to read the pattern of necessity in it. This clarity is the essential preparation for effective action.
Which brings us perfectly to Pillar 4, the discipline of action. We've aligned, logos, built the defense, citadel, and cleared our vision, perception. Now, the strategist must move, but the Codex says this action has to be governed by law, ordered, like the logos itself, not chaotic.
That's the tightrope walk. The strategist has to avoid the two failure modes. On one side, you have thought without action, that's just useless smoke, theories going nowhere. On the other, you have action without thought, without principle, and that's just chaos, potentially doing more harm than good.
So how do you find that balance? Seneca called living in art requiring discipline.
Yes, the art is moving with precision, making sure your internal will, guided by reason, aligns with external necessity and opportunity. The key is the motive for action. The Stoic acts because the action itself is the right thing to do according to reason and virtue, not because they're chasing external rewards or applause. The measure is internal consistency with principle, not external echo.
Which is the opposite of how most people operate, reacting to things.
Often, yes. The Codex contrasts the strategist with the multitude, who tend to act as slaves of sensation or social pressure. They strike back because they were struck first. They buy something because everyone else is buying it. They panic because they see others panicking. It's reactive.
Whereas the strategist,
Waits, observes, calculates the rhythm of consequence, understands the underlying currents. This is why Epictetus gave that incredibly powerful advice. Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and you will go on well.
that sounds passive again, but based on our discussion of Pillar the First, it's about alignment, isn't it? Aligning your initiative with the flow of reality.
Precisely. It's not about not acting. It's about ensuring your actions harness the existing currents rather than fighting against them uselessly. When your initiative aligns with inevitability, or at least probability, your energy is focused and effective. You're not wasting power on resistance.
Okay, so the action needs to be intentional, proactive, and aligned. The Codex then gives us a toolkit for ensuring the quality of that action, the 4 weapons, or maybe 4 virtues of action.
Exactly. Think of it as a final quality check before committing to a significant action. Every major move must pass through these 4 gates, ensuring it's not just effective, but also virtuous and whole.
Let's use a tough example. Say the strategist, maybe a leader, determines that for the long-term health of the organization, some people need to be let go. A really difficult, painful action. How do the 4 weapons apply?
Okay, a hard but realistic case. First gate. Reason. Has reason truly discerned that this action is necessary for the greater good, for the survival or function of the whole? Or is it driven by fear, greed, or convenience? Reason demands brutal honesty here, stripping away sentimentality to find the objective necessity.
Assuming reason says yes, it's necessary, then what?
Second gate. Courage. Once reason decrees the necessity, courage executes the action without undue delay, procrastination, or being paralyzed by the fear of conflict or being disliked. It takes fortitude to do what's necessary, even when painful.
Okay, reason and courage get it done, but it could still be brutal.
Which is why the third gate is justice. Justice ensures the action, while necessary, harms no one beyond what is absolutely required. Are the terms of separation fair? Is the process handled with dignity and respect? Is support offered where possible? Justice moderates the harshness demanded by reason.
And the final gate.
Fourth gate, temperance. This governs the manner of execution and the aftermath. It restrains any excess, no gloating in the success of the tough decision, no wallowing in self-pity about having to do it, no excessive harshness or excessive leniency. Temperance ensures balance and prevents the strategist from being emotionally compromised by the action itself.
So an action needs all 4 to be truly stoic or strategically sound. Reason, courage, justice, temperance. If one is missing, the action is flawed.
Exactly. It fractures the internal integrity of the strategist. And Marcus Aurelius, again, summed up the ideal outcome of this discipline. The silence of execution, meaning you reach a point where you just do what needs to be done without needing to broadcast it, justify it constantly, or seek validation. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. The action speaks for itself. The strategist acts like nature. The sun rises. The rain falls aligned with their own internal law, which is aligned with the logos. Their movement becomes part of the world's order, needing no external applause.
All right, we've covered alignment, defense, perception, and now action. But action often meets resistance. Things go wrong. That takes us to Pillar 5, the discipline of will. This is like it's about endurance, about handling what you can't change through action.
Precisely. If action is about what the strategist does, will is about what the strategist endures. This is where that alignment with the logos gets tested by hard reality. And it starts, again, with Epictetus' crystal clear boundary.
Some things are in our power and some are not.
The absolute cornerstone. The untrained will crashes against the rocks of the uncontrollable, demanding that reality bend to its wishes. It's exhausting and futile. The Stoic will understands its jurisdiction. It commands only what's truly its own, its judgments, its intentions, its responses. The rudder of the ship, not the ocean.
So mastery is ruling what depends on you. Wisdom is accepting what doesn't.
Perfectly put. And the Codex frames adversity not just as something to be endured, but as alchemy. Pain isn't just a setback, it's often the very catalyst that awakens the philosopher, the strategist within.
How so? The grinding metaphor.
Yes, fate, necessity, the logos, and its indifferent unfolding, it acts like a grinder. It can crush the weak, those whose identity is tied to externals, reducing them to dust. But the wise, the strategist, the same pressure polishes them, reveals the diamond within. Hardship becomes the forge.
So the strategist doesn't pray for an easier life.
No, they train for a stronger soul. Like a blacksmith working steel, the will is tempered through repeated exposure to heat and stress, until resilience becomes almost second nature. They accept the world's harshness and focus on hardening their own capacity to meet it.
But hold on, if you just keep accepting necessity, embracing hardship, doesn't that kill motivation? If everything is as it must be, why try to improve things, build businesses, fight injustice? Isn't that apathy?
That's the critical misunderstanding the critics often raise, and it's the difference between apathy and what Chrysippus called supreme participation. His argument was profound. Even the highest power, call it Zeus or the Logos, is itself bound by the laws of reason, by necessity.
I see.
So when you align your will with that same underlying necessity, you're not becoming passive. You stop being this tiny, isolated force fighting against the universe. Instead, you become an instrument of that universal reason. You start acting with the force of the cosmos behind you, not against it.
So working for change isn't fighting fate, it's directing the inevitable flow.
Exactly. You're working within the bounds of the possible, guided by reason, towards a virtuous goal. You accept the constraints of reality but strive vigorously within them. It's the transmutation of necessity. The inevitable obstacle isn't just endured, it becomes part of your chosen path, infusing your effort with meaning because it's aligned with the way things are.
Marcus Aurelius had that amazing image for this, the blazing fire.
Yes, it's incredibly vivid. The blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it. The disciplined will doesn't just tolerate misfortune or obstruction, it actively consumes it. It takes the negative event, the challenge, the loss, the insult, and converts it entirely into fuel. Fuel for insight, fuel for renewed action, fuel for strengthening resolve. The obstacle doesn't block the path, it becomes the path. Suffering is alchemized into strategy. Loss clarifies purpose.
Which leads to the ultimate Stoic definition of freedom in this codex. It's not what we usually think.
Not at all. Freedom isn't the absence of external constraints. You'll always face constraints. True freedom is the absolute mastery of your internal response to those constraints. It's the ability to face the inevitable, even the terrifying or painful, look it square in the eye and say, yes, let it come. This is my will too.
Because you choose your response.
Because in that moment of radical acceptance, of willing consent, you are utterly free from the tyranny of fortune. Circumstance can't dictate your inner state because you have chosen your attitude, your interpretation, your next move. And that choice, that inner stance, is the only thing that is truly, unshakably yours.
Okay, mastery of action, mastery of endurance through will. This culminates in Pillar 6, ruling the Republic within. Becoming the emperor of your own soul. This sounds like the peak of self-command.
It is. The Codex quotes a sentiment echoed by many thinkers. To govern other people is hard, maybe even impressive, but to govern oneself, that approaches the divine. And the core insight here is that any external authority or success is fragile, perhaps even illusory, if it's not built on a foundation of inner order.
Marcus Aurelius being the prime example. Emperor of Rome, seemingly absolute power.
Yet where did he focus his energy? Writing the Meditations, which weren't public decrees for the empire. They were, as the Codex terms them, secret orders to himself. He knew instinctively that true legitimacy, true stability, flows from inner law, from self-mastery. Outer rule reflects inner rule.
This brings back Zeno's idea of the invisible city or republic inside us. What are the key components of this inner state?
The strategist has to consciously build and manage this inner polity. Reason must be the absolute sovereign, the lawgiver. Its decrees are non-negotiable. Virtue, the practical application of reason through justice, courage, temperance, acts as the magistrate, the executive branch, implementing reason's laws.
And passion, emotion, where do they fit?
Passion, fear, desire, anger, grief, these are powerful forces, like the populace. They aren't inherently evil, but they must be subjects, not rulers. They need to be heard, understood, but ultimately governed by reason and directed by virtue towards productive ends. They must be loyal subjects, not rebels constantly trying to seize the throne.
And serenity, inner peace, only comes when this internal government is stable. independent of external chaos.
Exactly. True tranquility arrives when your inner state, your empire within, no longer depends on the whims of external fortune. Praise, wealth, health, winning or losing. The ruler must first legislate within, purge vanity, restrain indulgence, demand clarity of thought. Only then does their authority become unshakable, because it's rooted in reality, not illusion.
And this inner ruler commands not through brute force, but through alignment, through integrity.
Yes, the Stoic commands like the sun commands the dawn simply by being what it is, by its very nature. The ruler's disciplined example is the instruction. Their inner stillness, their unwavering adherence to principle, is the decree that orders the inner state. It radiates outwards.
Seneca had that interesting point about adversity being necessary for the ruler to prove himself.
Right. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. The inner emperor needs challenges to test their laws, to strengthen their resolve, to confirm their sovereignty isn't just theoretical. Easy times don't forge strong rulers, internal or external.
So this isn't a one-time setup. The strategist has to actively rule every day, issue a daily decree.
Absolutely. It's constant vigilance. You rise each morning, metaphorically speaking, as emperor of yourself. You hold counsel with reason. You assess the potential challenges of the day ahead. You judge your own motives with severity.
And issue commands.
Yes. If you anticipate conflict or frustration, the decree is. Patience will be the watchword today. When anger arises, its governor is already on the throne. If doubt or fear of failure whispers, the decree is, command endurance. Focus only on the inputs within your control, not the outcome. If the temptation is towards laziness or overindulgence, command restraint. Discipline is freedom. This daily, conscious reaffirmation of reason's sovereignty is what keeps the inner republic stable and strong.
And if the external world refuses to obey, if things go sideways despite your best efforts,
The strategist simply remembers. The external world was never my empire to rule. My true, unconquerable domain is right here, within the walls of my own mind. And here, reason remains emperor.
we've journeyed through alignment, defense, perception, action, endurance, and self-rule. That brings us to the seventh and final pillar, the capstone, the fire in the cosmos. This sounds like the ultimate zoom out, the philosophical conclusion.
It is. It's the final integration. After mastering the self, the strategist realigns that mastered self with the whole. It's a return, a conscious reabsorption into the logos, the rational order of the universe.
How does it visualize the fire?
The core realization, drawing from thinkers like Zeno and Chrysippus, is that the universe itself is like a single, vast, living entity, often visualized as a divine fire or rational energy. And everything within it, stars, planets, people, thoughts, events, are like sparks thrown off from the central conflagration, individual expressions of the one underlying reality.
So we're all just temporary sparks.
In a sense, yes. Temporary manifestations. What burns eventually returns to the source. It completes the cycle. From the chaos of individual passion and ignorance, the strategist has worked through discipline back towards the rational order, recognizing themselves not as separate, but as part of that eternal fire.
Zeno's idea of the cosmos as one great body, and we're just cells or instruments within it, that really shifts the perspective on mortality, doesn't it?
Fundamentally, Seneca, for example, consistently viewed death not as an ending to fear, but as a natural process, a return home. A release from the illusion of separation, from the burdens of individual striving against the whole. It's a completion of one's duty within the larger system.
So the strategist doesn't fear death.
They meditate on it, understand it as part of the Logos design. They achieve a kind of immortality, not by clinging to the physical body, but by living each moment so completely in accord with nature, with reason, that their life becomes aligned with the eternal. Time can't diminish an action performed in accordance with timeless principles.
So after going through all 7 pillars, achieving this coherence, what does the Logos, the universe, actually promise the strategist? Is there a reward?
The promise isn't happiness in the conventional sense, or eternal bliss, or even guaranteed external success. The promise is coherence. It's alignment with reality.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, everything you see will perish: empires, bodies, reputations. But the order of the world remains eternal and renewing.
So the reward is participating in that order.
Exactly. The reward is functioning at the level of the structure itself. You move from operating based on hope, fear, and desire to operating based on the objective principles of reality. That crucial shift, the Codex suggests, happens when you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and instead recognize, thus it must be according to the Logos. That's the threshold where philosophy touches something, well, almost divine in its integration.
So the fully realized strategist isn't detached or unfeeling.
No, not detached exact, precise in their understanding and participation. They've navigated the seven gates, from the chaos within to cosmic comprehension, from slavery to passion to alignment with universal law, from being just a person buffeted by fate to embodying a principle.
They haven't conquered the world.
They have become its reflection, as the Codex concludes. He is not detached, he is exact, he has not conquered the world, he has become its reflection. For the Logos is not beyond him, it is him. The strategy is complete because the strategist has finally made their inner constitution mirror the rational constitution of the cosmos.
Wow. Okay, that was an incredibly dense and structured journey through those seven gates of what we've called the Strategical Stoic Codex. Just to recap, invoking the Logos, building the inner fortress, purifying perception, disciplined action, transmuting will, achieving inner sovereignty, and finally, that union with the fire and the cosmos.
And I think this deep dive really shows, hopefully, that Stoicism, framed this way, is anything but passive. It's a demanding, highly tactical framework. It's about forging yourself into someone capable of navigating immense pressure and uncertainty.
And it provides practical tools you can use right now, like Chrysippus's 3 questions for any impression or the 4 virtues: reason, courage, justice, temperance to check your actions. These aren't just abstract ideas.
Not at all. They are designed for immediate deployment against the chaos of modern life, the information overload, the emotional triggers, the constant noise. The goal isn't just coping, it's building that unshakable internal structure.
That confidence that no matter what happens externally, the emperor within is still rational, still in command of the self.
That clarity becomes power. The power to act without needing validation, to endure without complaining, to see reality clearly. You start to belong less to the whims of time and circumstance and more to that eternal order we discussed.
Which brings us to a final thought, a challenge maybe, for everyone listening, drawn from the Codex.
Right. If the strategist's path involves this idea of dying daily, meaning letting go of the weak, undisciplined parts of yourself each day and igniting the pure, rational part each morning,
Then the challenge is.
what is one small illusion, just one, that you are clinging to right now? One lie you tell yourself about what you need from the world or what you think you can control but actually can't. It could be a resentment, a fear of judgment, a craving for approval, a victim narrative.
Find that one thing.
Find that one piece of inner weakness, that internal traitor, and make the conscious choice right now, today, to burn it away, to incinerate it with the fire of your reason. It's a small act, maybe, but it's a powerful reaffirmation of the sovereignty of your inner emperor, a step towards aligning your will with that eternal fire. Go command yourself.